First, I want to give all honor and glory to the Most High Yahweh. Ba'ashima Mashiach Womadak Yahushua. Yahweh is the name of the Heavenly Father, who the world calls God. And Yahushua is the name of His only begotten Son, who the world only calls Jesus Christ. I want to give a strong shalom to the mighty men that go out and labor, that's presenting their bodies as a living sacrifice, doing all they can for the ministry to wake up the lost sheep of the house of Israel, enduring the elements, the 100-degree weathers, the freezing below colds, and most importantly, everything that's trying to hinder the work of the Most High. I want to give another strong shalom to the mighty Aquat, or the sisters that are at home, reverencing their husbands, being teachers of good things, tender, delicate, and on fire for the Most High. And last but not least, I want to give another strong shalom to all the mighty children and teenagers in the truth as well, doing all they can to make their calling and election sure in the last days. And by the topic of this cold cut, as you can see, it is titled Shalom to the brother Israel, Shalom King, and Shalom to every brother and sister that's tuning in to the live. Alright, brother Tazamana, I'm coming at you with another cold cut. Like I was saying, at the topic of this video, you can see it's titled, How Bad Do You Want the Kingdom? Right? The topic of this video is, How bad do you want the kingdom? Because it's not going to be handed to you, man. Or I believe I titled it won't be handed to you. A lot of brothers, that's the spirit. I'm sorry, I was going to go into something else. But a lot of brothers think the kingdom will be handed to them. You got a lot of women in the truth. They think the kingdom will be handed to them. Everything's going to be, they're going to get spoiled, for lack of better terms, by the Most High. Alright, we here to tell you the kingdom will not be handed to you. So how bad do you want the kingdom of heaven? You got men saying, hey, Ak, you know I want to get to the kingdom. You have certain women saying, yeah, that's my #1 goal. But your actions is saying totally different. Or you have a lot of lazy men, wicked, ungodly men in the nation that's saying one thing, but their actions is totally different, man. You have brothers saying, yeah, I want the kingdom out, but you talking to another brother's wife on a social media app. You got women saying, I want the kingdom, but you're not doing what you have to be doing as a wife of the Most High. So now today we're posing a question, how bad do you want this thing, man? I said a lot of you men, you don't really want this thing, man. It's just a talk for you. Let's kick it off with the book. Let's kick it off with the book of Philippians. Right? Let's kick it off with the book of Philippians. I want chapter 3. Right, let's kick it off with the book of Philippians chapter 3 and verse number 11. Right? I'm going to start at verse 12. It's the book of Philippians chapter 3 and verse number 12. It says, not as though I had already attained. Right? Because Paul didn't even get to the kingdom. Paul didn't even attain yet. It says, either were already perfect, but I follow after, if that I may apprehend that for which I am apprehended of Hamashiach Yahushua. Verse 13. Brethren, I count not myself to apprehend it. So Paul didn't even say, Paul said, I didn't even make this thing, man. A lot of men think Paul apprehended. Paul already got that crown. He already got rewarded. Paul the apostle, he labored more than all the other apostles. Even he said, I haven't even apprehended. It says, but I follow, if that I may apprehend, for which I am apprehended of Mashiach Yahushua. Brethren, I count my myself to apprehend it. But this one thing I do. And every brother and a sister has to do this thing. If you're not doing this thing, you have to immediately examine yourself. It says, forgetting those things which are behind. meaning everything in the past, the old man, the old woman, and reaching forth unto those things which are before, right? So Paul said, I forgot everything behind me, and I reached forward for the things that's in front of me. What's in front of you, ultimately, the kingdom of heaven. And when you reach for something, it's like you almost want it. Nobody's going to reach for something they don't want. That's even on a carnal level. If you don't want to go, I'm saying, if you don't want to go to the store and get up, no man is going to say, yeah, I don't want to. Let me just get up and do it. If you don't want to go to get something out of the fridge, you're not going to do it. If you don't want that doctor's degree, nobody's going to do something they just completely don't want. Paul said, I'm reaching for the kingdom. I want this thing. I said, a lot of you men, you don't want this thing, man. You like a sluggard. You got a high level of laziness. Don't want to work. Not only that, you don't even want to put work to the Most High. A lot of women, you got to check yourself that's saying, yeah, I want this thing. But you're doing the complete opposite of a Proverbs 31 woman. Not only that, you're not even putting forth effort to do it. How can you truly want something that you're not even putting effort to? Men, you just skipping over chapters. You know you got to thoroughly read it. You're just skipping over chapters. Do you really want this thing? Hey, Paul said, hey, I want this thing. I'm apprehended. I'm forgetting everything behind me, and I'm reaching forward for the things that's before me. Let me read on this, verse 13. It says, brethren, I count not myself to apprehend it. I'm going to start at verse 14. Philippians 3 and 14. I press toward the mark for the prize of the high calling of God and Hamashiach Yahushua. So Paul said, I'm pressing toward the mark. Can you truly sit down with yourself and say, I'm pressing toward the mark? A lot of you brothers didn't even start the race yet. Got men scared to come into the truth. They see the kingdom. They know what comes with it. But yet they don't want this thing. Guess what the Lord is going to do? The Lord going to take somebody that do want this thing. And the more you want something, you will do almost anything for it. If a crackhead, if you've seen these movies of crackheads or even your local crackhead, a crackhead will do anything for some crack, man. Literally. She'll sleep with men. She'll rob people. Because she really wants crack that bad. She really desires that crack, man. A heroin addict, they want heroin so bad. How bad do you want the kingdom, man? Are you willing to do anything for everlasting life? Are you willing to do anything for immortality? Are you willing to do anything for no more stress? Are you willing to do anything for righteousness, man? To be in a place where you won't even be able to be tempted. Again, a lot of you men, you don't want it. Why? Because your actions is saying something totally different. Let's go to the book of, see what I want. Go to the book of Isaiah, chapter 6. Hey, our forefathers, they wanted this thing, man. Nothing was getting handed to them. Right? Let's go to, I want to get this precept in Isaiah, the 6th chapter. There's no account of men there's no account of King David. Hey, anything King David wanted, he went to go get it, man. If King David wanted mercy, guess what? He was smoldering upon his chest, crying out for mercy for the Most High. That's all through the book of Psalms. Psalms 13 and 1. Psalms 34 and 4. Anything King David wanted in righteousness, he went and go got it. What about you? You want to get those demons off of you. You want to get that stress spirit off of you. You want to get that anger spirit off of you. But what are you doing to get it off of you, man? Are you realizing the bigger picture? Let's go to Isaiah the 6th chapter. Right? Slack it. Go to Isaiah chapter 6. And I'm going to start at verse 5. Right? It's the book of Isaiah chapter 6. And verse number 5. It's Isaiah chapter 6. I'm going to start at verse 7. It's the book of Isaiah chapter 6 and 7. And he laid it upon my mouth and said, Lo, this hath touched thy lips, and thy iniquity is taken away, and thy sin is purged. Right, talking about the seraphims. Verse 8. Also I heard the voice of the Lord saying, Whom shall I send? And whom will go for us? Right, so the Lord said, who am I going to send to this people, man? What manner of man am I going to choose to go out into the nation of Israel, to do the work of the Most High, to be zealous, to be fire? Now in this account, hey, a lot of men, they shut their mouth. You know how I get quiet in certain rooms on the movies? Men, they wasn't talking. Probably heard crickets. Man, like do the work of the Most. Go to the house of Israel. So I don't know about that, right? It was probably quiet, man. This is what Isaiah the prophet said. I'm gonna read that again. Isaiah chapter 6. Slack here. It's the book of Isaiah chapter 6 and verse number 8. It says, Also I heard the voice of the Lord saying, Whom shall I send? And who will go for us? Then said I, Here am I, send me. So Isaiah like, hey, send me, Lord. Lord, send me out there. Again, a lot of brothers, you would just kind of sit there. But guess what? Isaiah, he wanted this thing. Isaiah wanted the promises. He wanted the kingdom of heaven. He wanted to do the work of the Lord. You got brothers that know the truth. They just sin. They're not going to the highways and byways. They're not teaching. They just sitting at home behind their computer all day. Isaiah said, Go send me, man. I want this thing. Again, a lot of you women, you don't want this thing, man. You say you want to get the kingdom. You got certain women saying, I want to be like Judah, Esther. But sister, you're not doing what's required. You have no effort to put in to pursue that goal, man. So how much more for the kingdom? A lot of you men, you letting your job overtake you. You say you want the kingdom, but your job getting you on. Every time your boss say, Hey, I need you to come in on the Passover. Then you kind of say, I don't know. Then you kind of give into your flesh and you going to work on the Passover or the Day of Atonement, or you getting tempted. Brother, you don't want the kingdom that badly, because if you did, you wouldn't play any games, man, when it comes to the Most High and serving Him. You will be as zealous as you can. You will be on fire. You will be fervent in prayer. A lot of men, you don't pray, man. Pray 3 times a day. Don't fast, maybe fast one time every 2 weeks. How bad do you want the kingdom of heaven? Again, it's not going to be handed to you. The kingdom is, the kingdom of the Most High is not coming to anybody. Right? You got to get Christianity out your head. The kingdom of heaven, the Lord is not wrapping up the kingdom of heaven and just giving it to certain men. Here you go. This is for you. While you sit at home with a cocoa latte sitting back all day. Actually, let me get this precept in 2nd Esdras, chapter 2. A lot of you men, you think the kingdom is coming to you. Last time I checked, if you want something, you gotta go get it. Right? Let's go to 2nd Esdras chapter 2 and verse number 13. 2nd Esdras chapter 2 and verse number 13. It says, Go ye and ye shall receive. Right? pray for a few days unto you, that they may be shortened. The kingdom is already prepared for you. So again, the kingdom is not coming to you. The kingdom is already prepared. The kingdom is already established. Everything is already set up for a specific time, date, and hour, man. This is what the Lord said. He said, watch. The Most High said, watch. Not sit around. Not scratching your head. You know what you're supposed to be doing, but you decide not to do it anyway. Excessive TV shows. Again, how bad do you... If the Most High was to come down right now and say, how bad do you want this thing? A lot of you men, you wouldn't have the answers, man. You're just, oh snap, an angel. You'll probably bug out. It's gonna be showed forth through your action how bad you want these things. Hey, they tell you that in the world, man, with these sports. If you have it's this one basketball player, man, you can use Kobe Bryant. You ask Kobe Bryant, how bad do you want a championship? He might say, I want it really bad. But other than that, he's gonna show you how bad he wants it. Yeah, he might say, I want it bad. But a real man that really wants something, he's gonna show you. So guess what? Now he's putting up shots. They said Kobe Bryant, they said he shot it down 1,000 shots a day, man. Every day he shot 1,000 shots. He's up at 6:45 in the morning every day. He's always in the gym. Why? Because he really wants this thing. Are you always abounding in the work of the Most High? Like it's in 1 Corinthians 15 and 58. Are you always thinking about the precepts? If your woman asks you something, are you ready to break things down? Are you ready to be a part of your family and your household and guide them in a path in righteousness? Are you ready to help you out your brother if they need you? Are you ready to pray for other brothers that need prayer? Are you ready to help a brother that's on hard times? Likewise with you women, are you ready to counsel a sister that's on hard times, man? Are you ready to pray for other sisters around you? Are you ready to give alms? Are you always ready to abound in the work and get better on things that you need to fix? Whether that's anger, lust, lewdness, slothfulness. Because if not, you don't really want this thing. Again, Michael Jordan, man. These men, they always in a gym. You want to be that. You want to be that sister. Every sister in the world. Look, she always reading her Bible. Why you always watching those videos? Likewise with you men. Why are you always so serious about the Most High? Where you supposed to be, man? You supposed to be zealous. Why? Because it's going to show you how bad you want it. If a man don't want it that bad, guess what? His actions are true. His fruit will already be declared. If he wants this thing or not. Right? Let's go to the book of... I want to get this precept in the book of Psalms. Right? About King David. Right? And you had King David. He said you won't even get no sleep. Same way as Paul. Why? Because these men, they had a goal, they had a vision. And then when they seen it, they pursued it. This don't matter what turmoil came. Because hey, if we really want to be technical, nobody has went through what Paul has went through, man. In the Acts of the Apostles. He getting stoned. Then getting beat up. He going to different trials. He getting bit by snakes. But yet he still pressed toward the mark. Hey, when you read Acts the 17th chapter, for him, dog, he said we ain't even getting no sleep, man. If you're not getting sleep in this truth, what are you doing? Do you really want this thing bad? Are you making your body a living sacrifice? Let's go to the book of Psalms. Right? Let's go to the book of Psalms, chapter 132. and verse number 3. Right? We was just talking about this on the Sunday call. But this Psalm chapter 132 and verse number 3. Surely I will not come into the tabernacle of my house, nor go into my bed. Hey, David said, guess what? I'm not even sleeping, man. I'm not going to my bed. A lot of men, as soon as you get off work, it's hit the bedtime. It's take a shower, straight to bed. There's no extra work in. Even when you free time, you always in a bed. You gotta watch out for that wake up at 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon spirit. Hey, David said, I'm not even going into my bed, man. Verse 4, I would not give sleep to my eyes or slumber to my eyelids. Meaning I'm not resting at all, man. It's work to be done. And you ask, I believe that's Elon Musk. Ask Elon Musk how much rest he get. The man only gets the owner of Tesla, even though that's an Edomite, the man only gets 4 hours of sleep a day. Right? 4 hours of sleep a day. The owner of Tesla, Elon Musk. I believe that's the richest man in the world, if I'm not mistaken. 4 hours. You have certain men, I need my 16 hours. You know me. Brother, you don't need 16 hours of sleep. Elon Musk only gets 4 hours of sleep. Then he's back working. That's for carnal things. How much more for a man that wants the kingdom? That want to serve the Most High? You got to think about, when you think about it says in 1 Corinthians 2 and 9, I have not seen, man. Ear have not even heard, nor enter into the heart of man the things that the Most High has prepared for them that love him. So even the carnal thoughts that you get about the kingdom, that could be totally different. You're thinking of black sand beaches, thinking of immortality. You might be thinking of chariots, thinking of animals you never seen. Lord has that 10 times more. And the men that really want it, they're not going to get no sleep in this thing. You got women just waking up at down 5 o'clock in the hour. You go to sleep at 9 o'clock at night. You waking up at 3, 4, 5 in the afternoon the next day. Right? The Lord not... I'm going to read this again. Psalms 132 and 4. I would not give sleep to my eyes or slumber to my eyelids until I find out a place for the Lord and habitation for the mighty God of Jacob. Hey, this was King David's mentality. But that also comes with putting more on your plate. Every brother doesn't have that more on his plate, man. Or that responsibilities. So that comes with getting more on your plate. Nevertheless, David said, hey, it ain't no sleep in this thing for me. Probably witnessed that. You first came into the truth. You was up all night watching the videos. You wanted this. You really wanted this thing. You was up reading. You couldn't stop telling people about it. Damn, calling the only person you know in the truth you on the phone for 4 hours with. That's because you wanted it then. What about now? What made you not want it anymore? Was it the affliction? Was it because things got harder? Was it because... What was the cause? You got to rekindle back that motivation. That drive. If you don't have a drive in the truth, man, that's very important, to drive. Everybody doesn't have a drive. Every brother doesn't have motivation. Sister doesn't have motivation. The Lord has to be your motivation, man. You have to make the Lord your drive. Because the more you're thinking about the Lord, you're like, hey, man, let me go harder. See, Jake down, he think of his mom that he want to go harder. Man, I'm doing this for my mom, right? Then he go and score down 63 points. Right, I'm doing this for my grandma. That's their motivation. Doing this for my kids. Guess what? Your motivation and your drive has to be the Most High. Because if it's not the Lord, then it's false. Now let's go to the book of. We get this precept in the book of in the book of Luke, right? Go to the book of Luke, man, right? So you have to ask yourself, how bad do you want this thing, right? Let me bring this out in the book of Luke, right, chapter 19, verse number 1. Right, this is the book of Luke, chapter 19 and verse 1. And Yahushua entered and passed through Jericho. And behold, there was a man named Zacchaeus, which was chief among the publicans, and he was rich. Right? So you got a man named Zacchaeus, slaki for the pronunciation, which was the chief among the publicans, and he was rich. Meaning this man had great riches. And the publicans was the tax collectors. Verse 3. And he sought to see Yahushua, who he was. Meaning, hey, where the Lord at? You got certain men that's like that. Jake want to get into wickedness. Where they at right now? Let's get on that with him. Guess what? This man, he wanted to see the Lord. You say Yahushua? I gotta see the Lord. Where he at? See, a lazy man, a man that don't give a damn, he said Yahushua. You talking about that Negro from Nazareth? Nah, he got to come see me. The Lord not dealing with that, man. This man, he wanted to see Yahushua. He had that desire, that drive. It says, for he sought to see Yahushua, who he was, and could not for the press, because he was of little stature. Because the Lord had great multitudes following him when you read the Gospels. Right? So much, he even led 5,000 men into the wilderness, and women, and he fed them. Nevertheless, this man, he was a little stature. He could have been short. We don't know. He could have been 5'2". Everybody else around him 6 feet. He looking around. Hold on, I'm trying to see. He couldn't see. We don't know how tall this man, but we do know he was of little stature. Guess what this man did? Now, he could have said, you know what? I don't know, man. He could have got discouraged. He could have said, everybody around me, they too tall. I'll never be able to see Yahushua. He could have went home with his head down. Let's see what this man decided to do. It says, verse 4, and he ran before and climbed up into a sycamore tree to see him. This man climbed a tree. Jake not climbing trees now. You think a sister is trying to climb a tree to see Yahushua? No, they gonna walk home with their head down. This man, he climbed a tree, man. A sycamore tree. When you look up a sycamore tree, hey, them not easy trees. Last time I checked to climb up. They might be of high stature. It said he climbed up into a sycamore tree to see him, for he was passed that way. So this man went above and beyond because he wanted to see Yahushua. He had the desire, the drive. He wanted to see Yahushua badly. And so much this man climbed the tree. Hey, how far would you go for the Lord, man? I know a brother in my congregation, I'm not going to say his name, he in my congregation. A week after the brother came into the truth, the brother walked 9 miles to count. I'm not going to say his name, but the brother walked 9 miles just to come to count, man. Then he kind of got there. He had to sit down. His knees was buckled. Couldn't feel his feet. 9 miles. I said all praises to the Most High. That's what you call dedication, man. That's what you call zeal. All praises to the Most High. A lot of men, you right down the street from where the servants of the Lord teach at. Then you say, yeah, I gotta be out there next week. You have a car and you live 10 minutes away. You got certain men saying, I'll see you next week. Then you never pull up. Or you got brothers walking 9 miles to count, man. So you can tell who really wants this thing, man. You can tell who really want to serve the Lord. You got women breaking their backs to down, make food for the ministry. Getting EBT, right? making meals for the brothers, giving alms. You got women coming from different cities just to come to another city to give alms. While you got sisters just doing this at home, always on TikTok, man. You got women you just always on TikTok. Damn, laughing around. When you got men and women that really want this thing, again, the question goes back, how bad do you want it? It says, and when Yahushua came to the place, he looked up and saw him and said unto him, Zacchaeus, make haste and come down, for today I must abide at thy house, man. Imagine the Lord tell you, I will abide at your house. And that could be on a spiritual level. You could run out your wits for the Most High. Next thing you know, guess what? The Lord is abiding at your house, which represents your mind. He's supping with you. Next thing you know, you getting certain revelations, getting dreams. The Lord breaking down the scriptures for you. And let me get this precept in 2nd Esdras real fast. Right? That's a good account in Luke 19, man. But let me get this in 2nd Esdras. Right? Let me get this in the book of 2nd Esdras, chapter 13. So, the question is, what will you do? Right? Salakia. Go to 2nd Esdras, chapter 13. Right, this is the book of 2nd Esdras, chapter 13. And verse number 54. This was Esdras did for the Most High. For thou hast forsaken thy own way, and applied thy diligence unto my law, and sought it. So Esdras forsook his own way, man. Even when you read in 2nd Esdras, Salakia, even when you read in 2nd Esdras, the 5th chapter, those men, they was coming down to Esdras. I believe that's the 6th or 7th chapter. They coming down to Esdras. They saying, Esdras, where is you at? The people, they depending on you. Hey, Esdras said, hey, I'm with the Lord right now, man. Y'all gotta wait. How many men had tell that to their parents? Hey, mom, I'm reading right now. Going to the movies, I can't do that right now. I'm reading. I'm supping with the Lord. Guess what, man? Esdras, he did that. A lot of men, you would be scared. No, I don't want to hurt my grandma's feelings. But it's not about hurting your grandma's feelings. It's about true work and dedication. That's going to take time to build up. So Esdras, he said, for thou hast forsaken thy own way, and applied thy diligence unto my law, and sought it. Thy life hast thou ordered in wisdom, and hast called understanding thy mother. And therefore I have shewed thee the treasures of the highest. After other 3 days I will speak other things unto thee, and declare it unto thee mighty and wondrous things, man. And you start to put in that dedication, the Lord will start rewarding you. You start putting in that dedication, that work. Again, that's what these top football players, these sport players, they put in that work. Then they start getting what they wanted, man. You might have wanted to be this best shooter. You've been putting in 1,000 shots a day. Guess what, man? Now you lights out. You're a lights out shooter. What about spiritual things? What about you putting that work in, reading, praying, fasting, and the spirit, getting your household together? The Lord will start rewarding you. Next thing you know, you're increasing. You're growing in knowledge. You used to deal with anger. Now you're not dealing with it no more. You used to have a bad lust spirit on you. Now the Lord, you know what I'm saying, he took that out the way for you. You used to be slothful, occupied in distractions. The Lord binded all of that up because you've been putting in work. You showed the Lord that you really want this thing. And the Lord will look out for you. But again, it goes back to the question, hey, guess what? How bad do you want this thing? Now I'm going to read on that. This Luke 19 and 6. It says, and he made haste and came down and received him joyfully. Right? Right, that's it on that. The point is, this man went in to go into a tree just to see the Lord, just to see how it's shot. Right? Go to the book of Mark chapter 10. Right? Let's go to the book of Mark chapter 10. Right? It's the book of Mark chapter 10 and verse number 46. Right? It's a good account. This Mark chapter 10 and verse 46. And they came to Jericho, and as he went out of Jericho with his disciples and a great number of people, blind Bartimaeus, the son of Timaeus, sat at the highway side begging. Right, so you brothers should pretty much know about this. You had the blind man Bartimaeus. It says, verse 47, and when he heard that it was Yahushua of Nazareth, he began to cry out and say, Yahushua, thou son of David, have mercy upon me. And that could be you, man. You could be Bartimaeus on a onefold. You could have a spirit on you. You could be spiritually blind, dealing with infirmities, dealing with stress, depression, and you cry out to the Lord. Or you could just be a sinful man and cry out to the Lord and say, Lord, have mercy upon me. It says, and many charged him that he should hold his peace. You had certain men saying, hey, shut up. See, this man, he trying to cry out to the Most High. You have other men telling him, hey, shut up. The Lord not hearing you, boy. Shut up. Hey, men say, hey, hold your peace. Hold your peace. Did Bartimaeus hold his peace, man? Did he shut up? A lot of brothers tell you, hey, just stop doing the work. It's not for you. Just stop doing it. A lot of you men that get discouraged, close up camp, and go straight home, man. A sister tell you, hey, Aquath, this thing is not for you, sister. You might as well just stop praying, stop studying. It's not gonna work out. A lot of you women, you will get discouraged. It says, I'm gonna read this again. And many charged him that he should hold his peace, but he cried the more a great deal. Meaning he said, hold my peace. Then he started calling on Yahushua, calling on the Most High's name. He cried more earnestly, man. The more deal. He went harder. Again, that applies to us in the truth. You gotta go harder. If you've been doing certain things since you've been in 6 years, you're doing the same things. You're not going harder or increasing. It's a problem with that. These demons gonna shut you up spiritually. They're gonna say, shut up. No, you falling victim to this demon again. You're not going hard. Hey, Bartimaeus said, hey, I'm calling on Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua. He cried a more great deal, thou son of David, have mercy upon me. And Yahushua stood still and commanded him to be called. And they called the blind man, saying unto him, be of good comfort, rise. He calleth thee. And he casting away his garment, rose and came to Yahushua. See that? So Bartimaeus, if Bartimaeus didn't go harder, man, and show that he really wanted the son of David to have mercy upon him, and Yahushua would have kept walking. But guess what? He went harder. He really wanted this thing. Guess what? Yahushua, hey, tell that man to come here. Then he asked him, what do you want? Hey, Lord, I just want you to heal my sight. So this all originates to the question, how bad do you want the kingdom of heaven, man? What are you willing to do? Hey, let's go to Acts chapter 14. Right? What are you willing to do? How bad do you want this thing? You got men climbing trees. You got brothers walking 9 miles to camp. Let me bring this out in Acts the 14th chapter. Right, this Acts chapter 14 and verse 19. And a great example of a man that truly wanted to be on fire and truly wanted to serve the Lord was none other than Paul the apostle. No matter what came his way, what turmoil or affliction, he endured. He said, hey, I said I want something, so I'm going to go get it. Then when you read 2 Timothy, the 4th chapter, hey, Paul already knew what time it was. He says, I have a crown laid up for me in the heavens. Now, let me bring this out, Acts 14 and 19. And there came thither certain Jews from Antioch and Iconium, who persuaded the people, and having stoned Paul. So Paul got stoned, man. No, man, I never heard a brother say, I got stoned from the truth. Now, certain brothers probably got things thrown, the food thrown on them. I know the brother say he got a phone thrown at his nose. Brothers got wine poured on them on the highways and byways. But guess what? Paul got stoned. It says, drew him out of the city, suppose that he had been dead. So Paul, he getting bricks to his head, man. I mean, they probably throwing bricks at him, throwing rocks. And we always like to say those bricks in the ancient world, those wasn't pebbles, man. You probably had a brick the size of this apocrypha that weigh about 15, 20 pounds. And men just kind of just throwing them at you. Guess what Paul did? Verse 20. Howbeit, as the disciples stood around about him, he rose up and came to the city. Meaning, hey man, kind of got up, ain't say a word, and came into the city. And the next day he departed with Barnabas to Derbe. And when they had preached the gospel to that city and had taught many, they returned again to Lystra and to Iconium and to Antioch. This right after he got stoned. The next day he done preaching in the cities. Now he could have packed up. He said, Mosai, I'm getting rocks thrown at me. I don't know if I want this thing anymore. That's not what I thought it was. No, Paul, the next morning, he confirming the souls of the disciples, exhorting them that through much tribulation thou shalt enter into the kingdom of God. I'm going to read that. Let me read on. I'm going to read that again, verse 21. And when they had preached the gospel to that city and had taught many, they returned again to Lystra and to Iconium and Antioch, confirming the souls of the disciples and exhorting them to continue in the faith, and that we through much tribulation enter into the kingdom of God. See that? So that's a great example to look at of a man that truly wants the kingdom of heaven. None other, Paul than the apostle. Or Hamashiach or Malak Yahushua himself, man. Because he even endured. He had a great walk. And for you men and women that don't really want this thing, again, like I said, it's gonna show. It's only a matter of time before the Lord, because every man has to get his fruit declared to see is he bringing fruit or not. And those men and women that don't want it, all the Lord is simply gonna do is replace you with a brother or a sister that does want it. That happens in like I said, it's so many analogies and things you could compare to the sport world. You might have a woman that's a volleyball player or a tennis player like Serena Williams. She's playing, I mean, she's cold at it. But then she kind of fall off. She have a slump. When she's falling off, you got a sister wherever she is in the next city or state working 10 times harder. Next thing you know, nobody hears about Serena Williams anymore. But you hear about Coco Jones. Right? She just coming in. Guess what, man? That's because the Lord set that up. So where she took her spot. And that happens in the truth, man. Don't think that doesn't happen in the truth. You have a brother, he forgets how bad he forget why he was in this thing. He don't really want this truth like that anymore. Don't want to keep the commandments. He want to do the ways of this world. So guess what? The Lord doesn't get mad and pout and say, why you not putting in that work? The Lord not flipping over tables, down, ripping off the damn sheet for the damn window, right? The Lord not throwing glass bottles on the wall. The Most High is not cursed. The Most High is not gonna do that. Only thing the Lord is gonna do, He's just gonna simply replace you with a brother or sister that truly wants this, that wants it more than you. They call that so where they call that in the world, I believe, an underdog, man. You gotta watch out for that underdog position, man. Cause it's gonna be a brother or sister you least expect to come into this thing. Then they come into this thing on a 100-fold level, bringing forth more fruit than you ever did. All because you didn't want this thing. Let's go to Sirach chapter 11. Right? Let's go to the book of Ecclesiasticus and the Apocrypha, chapter 11 and verse number 5. Right? Like I said, most sides not gonna get mad. If you're a sister, if you don't really want this thing, it's not really your thing anymore. The Lord is gonna replace you with another sister that does want it, that's hungry. Right now, you got men that's hungry, man. You got men that's thirsty. You got women that's hungry. What are they hungry after? They hungry after righteousness. They thirsting after righteousness. Let me get that in before I go to this, let me get that in Matthew the 5th chapter. Right? Let's go to that in Matthew the 5th chapter. Right, it's the book of Matthew chapter 5 and verse number 6. Matthew chapter 5 and verse 6. Blessed are they which do hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled. The Lord said you're blessed if you hunger and thirst after righteousness, man. So it's not just men in the world and women in the world that get hungry after carnal things. You got men and women that's hungry after spiritual things. They just coming into the truth. Say, okay, I'm an Israelite. Hey, man, I'm really trying to get right for all hell break loose. They reading down 10 chapters. They down walking 9 miles to count. They just come on. They waking up different people. They telling their family. They trying to do as much work as they can. Why? Because they hungry. It's what you call in the world, they used to call them dogs, man. Right? It's a basketball where I got some dogs on the bench. Why? Because they hungry. You got men and women that's hungry after righteousness. They hungry for keeping God's commandments. They're thirsting for immortality, man. They hungry for the kingdom. They thirsting for wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. If you're not doing your job, or you don't really want this thing, they gonna take your spot. It's only a matter of time. And they had that again, man. They had that in the so-called world. It was his brother, real talent. I mean, the brother was cold. Brothers was real talented, but it's a famous quote in the world. I believe it's hard work beats talent when talent fails to work hard. So you could be talented all you want. You could have the spiritual gifts. You could have the ability to call precepts and teach, and you giving counsel, and you praying for men, you studying for other brothers, you getting your household in order. You could be talented. You can know the Hebrew tongue. You know all the Hebrew alphabets to the I to the Tha, but you're not working hard. So guess what's gonna happen? That man or that woman that's working hard, they gonna beat you, even though you're more talented to them, because they're working hard. Hard work beats talent when talent fails to work hard. These same concepts apply in the truth. Now, let's go to Sirach. Right? Hey, man, that underdog position, man. And the biggest underdog of all time is none other than Hamashiach Komadak Yahushua. Why? Because those underdogs, men don't really look at them to do what they've got to do. Men look down upon them. Yahushua, men look down upon him. Men didn't believe he was the Son of God. They spitted on him. They beat him up. Guess where he's at right now? He's sitting on the right hand of the Most High in the third heaven. So the biggest underdog of all time It's Hamashiach Wamadak Yahushua. Now, let me bring this out in Sirach chapter 11. Right? It's the book of Sirach chapter 11 at verse number 5. Right? Sirach 11 and 5. It says, many kings have sat down upon the ground. Right? You have many kings, mighty kings. Look at King Saul, for example. King Saul was a very mighty king. He had nice big shoulders. He killed thousands of men. He was prophesying with the prophets. When you read 1 Samuel chapter 10 and 9. You have many kings, man. You have King Nebuchadnezzar. Whatever King Nebuchadnezzar said, that's what went in the Babylonian Empire. You have a lot of mighty men. You might even have a mighty man right now. Brother Brother sharp. He applies wisdom. He has a high level of discernment. But guess what the Lord said? Many kings have sat down upon the ground, and one that was never thought of have worn the crown. What is that one that never thought of? That was never thought of. That's the man that was counted out. That was the sister that was looked down upon. Might be the brother. He got glasses on. He got his fringes, everything. It's just his glasses is just crooked. He got tape on him. He got his Bible, his apocrypha. He's looking like this. You like this, brother? Hey, guess what? That's gonna be the brother. He might be a part of the 144,000. You don't know. Why? Because he's the underdog. He's not. When you go into the definition of an underdog, if I'm not mistaken, can the brother Baba Kashab, if a brother can put the definition of an underdog? If I'm not mistaken, it's somebody that's has no chances or odds to be able to win something. Or in the second definition, I was looking at it earlier, it's somebody that's doesn't fit in society. They're looked down upon. So you might have that brother with the glasses crooked. He just coming in this thing. He don't know what's going on, but he the most humblest. He's ready to put in that work on the spiritual level. Next thing you know, all along, this man was a part of the 144,000. Well, you have the man that probably brought him in truth. He was shaking the hand, saying, hey, you got to be on fire. You got to do what you got to do. Next thing you know, the Lord thought that brought that man to the ground, man. Right? So like the water to the brother Keon B. The definition of an underdog, it's a competitor thought to have little chance of winning a fight or a contest. See that? A competitor thought to have a little chance of winning a fight or a contest. And what is the fight or the contest that is? This fight is the road to the kingdom, man. On the road to the kingdom, this is a fight. But you have a man that has a competitor that thought to have little chance of making it in this thing. I'm gonna read that again. This is Sirach chapter 11 and verse 5. Many kings have sat down upon the ground, and one that was never thought of have worn a crown. Hey, and that's humbling in itself, man. Right? That's a mean precept. So what the Lord could raise up somebody that's going 10 times harder than you, bring them into the truth, just because they have more of a work ethic to you. They want to give alms. They want to give charity. They want to pray for brothers and sisters around them. Everything you're lacking at, they have 10 times more. So guess what the Lord started doing? He started replacing women and men. These things, they happen all the time. Let's go to the book of 1 Samuel. Let's go to the book of 1 Samuel, chapter 15. Right? It's the book of 1 Samuel, chapter 15. and 28. Let's get some examples. This 1 Samuel chapter 15 and 28. And Samuel said unto him, right, unto King Saul, the Lord hath rent the kingdom of Israel from thee this day. Right? So when you read this chapter, King Saul didn't do what the Lord told him to do. So what the Lord did, he rent the kingdom from King Saul. It says, and Samuel said unto him, the Lord hath rent the kingdom of Israel from thee this day, and have given it to a neighbor of thine that is better than thou. See that? Guess who is that neighbor that was better than King Saul? That was King David, man. And the thing is, I'm led to believe King David, he had to look up to King Saul in some type of way. Because David was but a youth still around this time. He had to look up to King Saul. Guess what? The Lord made King Saul the example. Then he said King Saul wasn't going as far. He wasn't, the thing with King Saul is, he wasn't obedient unto the Lord. He didn't follow directions. So what the Lord did, he said, okay, you don't want to follow directions? I have David right here. He's better than you. I'm going to cast you down and I'm going to set him up. Because you're not listening. You don't really want this thing. Long behold, King David, King David was nobody. Let me get that in Psalms real fast. Let me get that in the book of Psalms. Chapter, I believe that's Psalms chapter 70. Yeah, Psalms chapter 78 and 70. You think David was somebody prior to him coming on to the throne, being a king over Israel? No, David was a nobody, man. This Psalm chapter 78 and 70. He chose David, also his servant, and took him from the sheepfolds. So David, he was just a shepherd. He was just watching over the sheep. But guess what? The Lord chose him and took him from the sheepfolds and set him up as king of Israel. Why? Because King Saul, he didn't really want this thing. His actions, he probably wanted this thing. He wanted to be king. He wanted to serve the Lord. But his actions showed different. So guess what? The Lord set up King David, took him from the sheepfolds, made him king over Israel, and placed them in his stead. These things happen all the time. Let's go to the book of, I want to get this parable in Job. Right. It's Job chapter 8 and verse number 15. Job 8 and 15. He shall lean upon his house, but it shall not stand. He shall hold it fast, but it shall not endure. He is green before the sun, and his branch shooteth forth in his garden. Right. That could be a man that's prosperous. It could be prospering, the Lord increasing you. Now you shooting forth due to your growth, the water, the understanding. Verse 17. His roots are wrapped about the heap, and seeth the place of stones. If he destroy him from his place, then it shall deny him, saying, I have not seen there. Right? The Lord could destroy a man from his place. Take a man out of this thing that was once at a high stature. Behold, this is the joy of his way, and out of the earth shall others grow. So the Lord gonna take a man up, take his roots up, pluck it up. Guess what? Out of the earth, other men, they gonna grow, man. They gonna grow into this thing. Again, these things, they happen on a day-to-day basis. You see, brother, when you see a brother fall out of the truth, best believe another brother somewhere else just came into the truth. See, a brother just came into the truth, you might say, all praise to the Most High. Well, you gotta think deep down, somebody just fell out of the truth somewhere. Why? Because it's a just balance. The Lord said in Proverbs 11:1, a just balance is a delight unto the Most High. Well, a false balance is abomination unto the Lord, but a just balance is his delight. Now, let me get this precept in 1 Kings. Let me get this precept in the book of 1 Kings. Right. We get this in 1 Kings chapter 2 and verse 1 Kings chapter 2 and verse number 32. It reads, and the Lord shall return his blood upon his own head, who fell upon 2 men, right, talking about Joab. He killed 2 men, righteous and better than he, who slew them with the sword. My father David, not knowing thereof, to wit, Abner the son of Ner, captain of the host of Israel, and Amasa the son of Jether, captain of the host of Judah. So Abner and Amasa, they were better than Joab. And again, every brother in the truth and woman in the truth have somebody out there that's better than them, that's hungry. I remember I was teaching over this when I first came into the truth. I was teaching a brother, and man, I was looking in his eyes, and I'm teaching him. He was just so hungry. Like, you could tell in his eye, we Israelites, okay, we got to keep the commandments, okay. It's like he was ready, man. So every brother and sister has somebody out there. You don't know who they are. You can't say, yeah, I know this person, da 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 da. You don't know who they are. You don't know where they are in the world. They could be in China. They could be in South America. They could be in down LA. You don't know. But it's a brother or a sister that's going 10 times harder than what you going is right now. Ultimately, there's somebody out there that's better than you in the spirit, not of works, but in the spirit, man. So that lets you know you have to stay consistent. You have to stay humble, or else the Lord is going to replace you. You got certain women saying, nah, I don't know if another sister better than me. Right? I look good. I do this. I read when I read sometimes. I don't know. And the Lord don't give a damn about that, man. You have somebody there more innocent than you. They're more pure in spirit. Their spirit has no guile. They have more integrity than you. Right? They're better than you. If you're not doing what you have to be doing, at any time, you could be replaced. See, that's the thing with Jake. Jake don't think he could be replaced by nobody. No, the Lord don't need you, man. You need the Most High. So yes, you are replaceable. Let me get this precept in 2 Chronicles, right, chapter 21. Right? 2 Chronicles chapter 21. Chapter and verse 12. 2 Chronicles 21 and 12. And there came a writing to him from Elijah the prophet, saying, thus said the Lord, God of David thy father, because thou hast not walked in the ways of Jehoshaphat thy father, nor in the ways of Asa king of Judah, but has walked in the way of kings of Israel, and has made Judah and the inhabitants of Jerusalem go a-whoring. Right? Getting on literally the Joram. Just because you're not walking in the ways of your father, it says, but thou hast walked in the ways of kings of Israel, and has made Judah and the inhabitants of Jerusalem to go a-whoring, like to the whoredoms of the house of Ahab, right, by having them go into idolatry, and also has slain thy brethren of thy father's house, which were better than thyself. So here you have it. You had this man, he damn slain his brothers, but whole time Joram, his brothers was better than him, man. He killed another man that was better than you. So the Lord will so the point is, every brother and sister has somebody that could replace you, that wants it more than you. I'll say that. If you're not doing what you have to be doing, man. So you brothers and sisters, you definitely want to keep that in mind at all times to stay humble and to increase and strengthen the things that remain, that are ready to die. Because I have not found thy works perfect before the Lord. That's Revelation chapter 3 and verse 2. Right? So with that, we giving all honor and glory to the Most High, Yahweh, Ba'ashima Mashiach Umarak Yahushua. Most High willing, this video is edifying. Continue to read, pray, fast, and study. And most importantly, beseech the Heavenly Father for His mercy. And with that, again, the topic of this video is how bad do you want the kingdom? Because it would not be handed to you. With that, I'm going to say shalom.